Namaste children, welcome in our online SSC class. Children, this is chapter 17, Major Religions. From history, this is the last chapter. So in this chapter, we are going to learn about the major religions which came in existence in the medieval period. Those religions were the Islam, the Sikhism, the Bhakti movement, the Sufism. So these are the main religions. These are the major religions which came in existence in medieval period. In class 6th, we have learned about the major religions like Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, Zoroastrianism, etc. Christianity also we have learned in our last class, in our previous class, that is class 6. So those religions which prevailed during the ancient period. But in this chapter, we shall learn about Islam and Sikhism and different religious movements which started in India during 7th to 15th century. So first of all, we are going to learn about Islam. Muhammad Sahab was the founder of Islam. He was born in Mecca in 570 CE. He was brought up by his uncle who took him over to Arabia. He was married with a widow under whom he was employed. He got the light of wisdom at the age of 40 while meditating in a cave near Mecca. And Muhammad Sahab declared himself the Prophet of Allah. It is believed that Quran, do you know Quran? Quran is the holy book of Muslims. So it is believed that Quran was revealed to him by God's angel named Gabriel. Muhammad Sahab was opposed to idol worship. So that Muhammad Sahab do not believe in idol worship, and Muhammad and Islam. Let's know about the relation between Muhammad Sahab and Islam. Muhammad Sahab was the founder of Islam, and Muhammad was not liked by the orthodox rich people of Mecca. So he moved to Medina, where he was warmly welcomed by the people. Do you know, children, what are Mecca and Medina? Mecca and Medina are the two holy cities of pilgrimage for the Muslims. So, Muhammad Sahab was not liked by orthodox people. Those were rich and orthodox also. So he was not liked by them in Mecca. That's why he moved to Medina, where he was warmly welcomed by the people. After the death of Muhammad Sahab in 632 CE, Abu Bakr, Prophet's friend, means Muhammad Sahab's friend, was the first adult to embrace Islam. And this Abu Bakr became a Khalifa. Khalifa is a title, children. Means Khalifa is a person who enjoyed full political and religious powers. Islam propagated faith in Allah and prophethood of Muhammad. And Prophet Muhammad preached that Allah punishes us for the bad deeds and rewards us for the good deeds. He also propagated the concept of equality. Before going ahead in Islam, do you know, children, Mecca and Medina are the two holy cities of pilgrimage for Muslims. Quran, the holy book, is written in Arabic, which provides the Muslim believers with everything that they need to lead a good and pious life. Daragah means what? It means grave of a Muslim sant. Khalifa. What is Khalifa? It means head of the Muslim world. And this Khalifa actually enjoys the full political and religious power. Then come mystic. Mystic means those who believe in abstract spiritual truths. Then comes Nirankar Brahma. Nirankar Brahma means God is formless. There is not the form of God, that's why he is Nirankar. Nirankar Brahma is a Hindi word. It means God is formless. Omnipotent. What is omnipotent? Omnipotent means having absolute power. Means none of the other powers can be compared with this absolute power. The one and only absolute power, that is God, and that is known as omnipotent. Then comes omnipresent. Omnipresent means present everywhere at the same time. And this is said for God, that God is omnipotent and omnipresent because God is present everywhere at the same time. Now let's know about the principles of Islam. Islam propagated faith in Allah and prophethood of Muhammad Sahab. Prophet Muhammad preached that Allah punishes for the bad deeds and rewards for the good deeds. He also propagated the concept of equality. So at that time, there is no equality in the society, and there was a class system in society. And Muhammad Sahab propagated the concept of equality in the eyes of Allah. The Quran says that to regulate one's life as a true Muslim, a person has to serve the following 5 principles in his life. So these 5 principles are very important factors for the followers of Islam. Let's know about these principles one by one. So the first principle is he should always proclaim oneness of God, that is Allah, and Muhammad Sahab as his prophet on the earth. Means believers of Islam proclaim oneness of God. Who is this one God? This one God is Allah, and his prophet, a follower of Islam, must believe in the prophethood of Muhammad Sahab. The next principle is every Muslim should offer prayers 5 times daily and on Friday afternoon in a mosque with others. So this is the second principle, that each and every Muslim offer prayer 5 times daily and on Friday afternoon in the mosque with others collectively. Now the third principle, one should give alms to the poor. So this is a very meaningful principle, that rich people or poor people must give or provide alms to the needy people. Next principle, that is principle number 4, that every Muslim should keep fast, roza, during the holy month of Ramzan. So children, this is very well known that in the month of Ramzan, the Muslim people used to keep roza, and at the last day they used to celebrate Eid after watching the moon. So from dawn to dusk, they used to keep roza. Roza is a process in which the Muslim people used to keep fast the whole day and from dawn to the dusk. Now the last principle, that is, one should, if possible, go on Hajj to Mecca at least once in its lifetime. Mecca and Medina both are the holy cities for the Muslim people. So they go there for their pilgrimage, and it has been written in the principles of Islam that if possible, go on Hajj at least one in his lifetime. Now let's know about the holy book that is called Quran. So Islam and its relation with Quran. Quran is the holy book of Muslims. Quran is written in Arabic and provides the Muslim believers with everything that they need to lead a good and pious life. Now let's know about Mecca and Medina one more time. These Mecca and Medina are two holy cities of pilgrimage for the Muslims. Now let's know about the contribution of Muhammad Sahab. Muhammad Sahab greatest contribution was that he united the scattered Arab empire under one faith, and that is Islam. At last, the conflict among the successors led to the creation of two main sects of Islam. These were the Sunni and the Shia sects. So in this given picture, we are able to see Quran Sharif, the holy book of Muslims, Islam, we can say, and it has been written in Arabic, and it provide everything that people need to lead a good and pious life. So the remarkable thing is here that due to conflict among the successors, Islam divided into two sects, and the name of these sects are Shia and Sunni. So this is all about the Islam religion. Children, let's know about Sikhism. So as we learned in the previous chapter, we have already learned about the Sikhs. The chapter was chapter 16, Emergence of Independent States, in which we have learned about the brave Sikhs, in which we have also learned about the life of Guru Nanak and Maharaja Ranjit Singh. So, but this time we are going to learn about Sikhism as a religion. Let's know the origin of Sikhism. The origin of Sikhism can be traced back to the time of Guru Nanak, the first Guru of Sikh. So, Guru Nanak was the first Guru of Sikhs. Guru Nanak was born in 1469. Since childhood, he was very happy in the company of sons. Not son. Son here is written, but it is not. The word is saints. Saint. So Guru Nanak was born in 1469 CE, and since childhood he was very happy in the company of sons. This is wrong here. And Sufis. He propagated to be one with God. One has to be egoless and denounce lust for worldly pleasures. Means physical things, least interest with the physical things of the world, and he propagated that to be one with God. It was a kind of denounced lust for the worldly pleasures and for full attachment with God. Guru Nanak believed in Nirankar Brahma. Nirankar Brahma means God is formless or God. For him, Ram and Rahim were the same. Here we can see the greatness in the eye of Guru Nanak, who opposed caste system, because in his eye Ram and Rahim both were the same. Let's know about Sangat and Pangat. What is Sangat and Pangat? Guru Nanak established Sangat and Pangat. So these two words are very popular in Sikh religion. Sangat is the religious gathering where everyone recites the name of God without any distinction of caste, creed, color or race. And the second one is Pangat. Pangat means eating langar by sitting together in a row without any distinction of poor caste or creed, race or color. Children, this is or race or color. So I hope that many children used to visit at Gurudwara, and I hope you got the chance to eating langar by sitting together in a row, and the purpose behind it, without any distinction of poor caste or caste, creed or color, means there is a kind of equality. It is a full equality in the Sangat as well as Pangat. Equality in color and race. Caste actually means they are opposed to the casteism, so that they started, means Guru Nanak started Sangat and Pangat, means Sikhs started Sangat and Pangat, and they opposed to the casteism at that time. Now let's have a look on the 10 Gurus of Sikhism. Yes, in between we are able to see the first Guru, Guru Nanak Dev, and the last Guru, Guru Gobind Singh. And here Guru Bani, it has been written in Gurumukhi script. Gurus of Sikhism. Nanak passed away in 1539 CE at Kartarpur. According to Sikhism, a true Sikh is one who believes in one God. Again here, it also proclaims one God and has complete faith in 10 Gurus who follow Sri Guru Granth Sahib and acts in accordance with the message of Guru Bani. Every Sikh should be baptized by taking Amrit. So this is the principle, we can say these are the things in Sikhism that a Sikh must obey and follow. The second Guru, Guru Angad, collected the hymns of Guru Nanak in Gurumukhi script. Guru Ramdas dug the holy tank known as Amritsar. The city of Amritsar takes its name from it. Guru Arjan Dev constructed Gurudwara Harmandir Sahib at the center of the tank, which is known as Golden Temple. Yes, look at the Golden Temple here. This is the Golden Temple. Now let's know about the names of the Gurus. The first Guru was Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Second, Guru Angad Dev Ji. Third, Guru Amar Das Ji. Fourth, Guru Ram Das Ji. Fifth, Guru Arjan Dev Ji. Sixth, Guru Har Gobind Ji. Seventh, Guru Har Rai Ji. Eighth, Guru Hari Krishan Ji. Ninth, Guru Tegh Bahadur. And the last Guru was the son of Guru Tegh Bahadur, Guru Gobind Singh Ji. Now let's know about the Gurus. Guru Arjan Dev constructed Gurudwara Harmandir Sahib at the center of the tank, which is known as the Golden Temple. Guru Har Gobind constructed the Akal Takht on the throne of God near the Golden Temple. Now comes Guru Tegh Bahadur. He was involved in fighting against the oppression by the Mughals. Children, as we have learned in Mughal imperialism, that Aurangzeb used to kill, he killed Guru Tegh Bahadur, whose son Guru Gobind Singh fought the Mughals till Aurangzeb's death in 1707. So this Guru Gobind Singh, the last Guru, created the Khalsa Panth at Anandpur, that was popularly known as Takht Shri Keshgarh Sahib on the day of Baisakhi in 1699 CE. Do you know, every Amritdhari Sikh has to have all the 5 Ks. 5 Ks are also called kakars on his body all the time. So as you go in the depth of the lifestyle of these 10 Gurus, you can see the strength and the braveness of these Gurus. Guru Tegh Bahadur and Guru Gobind Singh was always remembered for their work in Sikhism, in the establishment of Sikhism, and their sacrifices also. So this is the fact. Do you know, every Amritdhari Sikh has to have all the 5 kakars on his body all the time. They are the symbols of Sikhism. They are Kesh, Kangha, Kada, Kacha and Kirpan. As these kakars are also written in your book, and these are very necessary for the Sikhs because of they are the symbol of Sikhism. So this is all given in your book about the Sikh religion. Okay children, can you identify different kind of symbols given here? This is the sign of Sikhism, as we learned this time, and this is the sign of Islam. So in our next class, we will learn about the Bhakti movement and Sufism also.